Call to order the tree board meeting for the Village of Ashwaubenon, Thursday, September 26, 2024. Roll call, please.
Andy Kurowski.
Here.
Jim Famry.
Here.
Ralph Klipstein.
Here.
Mary Monroe.
Here.
And Joseph Richter.
Here. We'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got action on the agenda.
Yep, pretty short. We're just looking for a motion to accept.
Approve.
Thank you, Jim.
Second.
Somebody want to
Need
say?
a second.
I'll second it.
Thanks for.
Action on the minutes from the last
Oh, we
meeting.
just all in favor.
All in favor. I'm sorry. All in favor.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Action on the minutes. Discuss and act on minutes from March 21st, 2024 tree board meeting.
Same situation. We're
Move
looking
to
for.
approve.
Thank you, Jim.
Motion by Jim. Need a second?
Second.
Second.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Who was that? Alfred
Joe.
Joseph.
Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe.
All in favor again?
Mhm.
Andy, all in
All in
favor?
favor? I'm sorry.
Aye.
I was just looking at mixed. Okay. Received and accept August September Parks, Recreation and Forestry Department reports. That you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not really allowed to answer questions or discuss, it's more informational. A lot of things going on within the department over the last several months. Ashwaubenon Blast, summer concerts, food truck rallies, and then, all the other exciting things that we do. But if you have any individual questions on that, certainly reach out to either myself or my director, Rex, and we'd be happy to speak to you on any of those issues or concerns that you might have. But lots of good stuff going on.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to do anything with that. It's
No.
more information only. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Action items.
Oh, we do? I apologize. We do need a motion. This is kind of new. We have had some changes as far as department reports go, so
Okay, motion, I know we didn't-
just a motion to accept.
Yeah, can I get a motion to accept?
I will do.
Jim, in a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
You.
All right, action items. Consider and discuss act on residential request to remove tree at 1445 Apache.
Okay. Before you'll see a letter from Ms. Becker, 1445 Apache Avenue. She has 2 silver maples in her front yard and within the straight right of way. I met with her back in December of 2023 to look at the situation, address her concerns, discuss the situation with her. The tree before you, or the tree of consideration tonight, is the east tree, so it's going to be the one that's closest towards Pioneer School. If you're looking at the street from the center line, it'd be the left tree. The tree to the right, closer to the driveway, that's not something that's up for discussion tonight. There's a insurance claim pending, so for reasons related to that, we're not able to discuss that, the tree closer to the driveway. I met with Ms. Becker, like I said, back in December of 2023. She had the concerns presented were disrupting her sump pump line, inability to grow grass or a nice turf within the yard, and then obviously living tree and dropping of leaves and small twigs and things like that. I did do a brief valuation of the tree from a maintenance standpoint as well as a risk and liability standpoint. There was nothing that was noticeable at that particular time that would make that tree a risk or a liability or or soon to be one in the near future.
I looked at them yesterday and I didn't know which one, but I couldn't, it looked alike, you know, they both looked like healthy trees to me. Just looking down.
I was there too, and where does the sup line come near there? I didn't see a sup line coming out of the house.
They generally come off of the corners of the house, but it can come anywhere. It could be right square in the middle of the yard. I do not know the exact location.
So I couldn't find it. The neighbor's got one coming out of the house, and he's actually got a line going to the storm sewer right there. I saw a little hole sticking in there.
Okay, yeah.
But I didn't see anything on that house.
Yeah, and they're generally down deep enough where they can tie them into the storm source.
That's what I have in my house, tied in 4 feet down and.
Okay.
Yeah, it broke off after 30 years. We had a new one. Al the plumber gave us permission. We had to have a licensed contractor okay it. We did it ourselves, but he had to sign off on it, so.
Sure. So, yeah, most of those are tied directly into the storm sewer. I
Okay.
think years ago, they used to drill them through the head of the curb
Right into
and
the
just
curb.
drain them into the street.
Yeah.
But they don't like that anymore.
Don't they usually run them out the backyard? In the house?
I think it just depends on the
Okay.
particular situation.
Okay.
So we did look at that particular tree. As I said, I didn't find anything, of concern that or likely to be a concern in the future from a liability standpoint. I did attach the letter of request from Ms. Becker within your information packet, as well as our tree removal policy. So for you folks that have been around, you've seen this before. Nothing's changed on it. It's been in place for probably 15 years. But this is the document that I use as a manager to make decisions, are we going to remove a tree or not remove a tree? And I think it explains it pretty well. Basically, if trees are dead, diseased, dying, or dangerous. They call it 4 Ds. So those are kind of the reasons that I'm looking at that are of primary concern, to protect the village as well as our residents.
Was this tree at some time planted by the village?
I do not know that for sure. I
I
don't have records that go back that far.
They're very large. Both of them are very, very
Yeah.
large.
I grew up in the village my whole life. Lived in Green Bay for 5 years, but I've been back since, and I grew up my whole life. I don't ever remember, and I worked for the village for 5 summers. I don't ever remember the village finding any silver maples. That's just it. I don't remember that.
Yeah, there are some streets where it was the designated species on the old planting maps. They're big and they're all folded up, and there's colored markers or crayons on there, and they kind of indicated what was the species for that. So kind of need to look at that old information, but exactly who planted them, I don't know that answer.
Which year roughly were they planted?
My guess is they're probably about 60 years old.
60?
How tall? I haven't seen it yet. How tall?
They're planted back in the 60s.
Yeah,
They're large.
yeah, they're probably 60 feet tall, plus or minus.
But you guys say this tree is pretty healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't hear she says it's causing problems on the sump pump. The basement flooded because their sump pump had a problem.
What did it do to the sump?
She said that a lot of times these trees, if they're planted, she says it caused their sump pump to malfunction, and that caused the basement to flood
How
numerous
does
times.
that happen?
Well, the roots on the silver maple can mess with the foundation, and they can mess with your sump pump lines. And as they grow, they get stronger, and they cut through them. Especially, she probably had an old line back then. I'm thinking. I don't think she had a new line because I don't know. It's probably is her sump pump the old style or is it down?
I don't know.
You don't know that, okay? Because it sounds like if the village is planting this tree and it's causing all these problems that she probably thinks they're liable for it, but for sump pump, if it's done correctly, or updated, this tree shouldn't cause a problem to it.
And to me, whenever we have problems with sewer laterals, sump pump laterals, there's damage to that pipe. Either it's displaced or cracked or the joint is falling apart. And we've actually televised a bunch of them. And you can put a little camera down there and actually see, right down the line. And, oftentimes you can see the displacement or usually it's at a joint or a fitting. But a tree root itself isn't gonna just be able to bore into a pipe.
On the old stuff it would.
Yeah.
The old corrugated stuff, but not the stuff that they require on new construction and new homes. It's not gonna go through that schedule 40 or 30 pipe. It's not going to. I'm sure this is old stuff. So where do you go from here? You tell her, and then she can.
Based upon the policy that we have in place, I would recommend not removing it. However, it's certainly within the responsibility of this committee, if you guys deem it necessary, that's okay as well. Over the years, for those that have been here, sometimes we remove them, sometimes we don't. But it's certainly up to the committee if you would like to do that.
Yeah, I see you mentioned, as far as like grass, just about any tree is gonna, obviously, something around, it's hard to grow grass, the roots, everything there. And seeds, well, and leaves, if you got a tree, you're gonna have seeds and leaves. I mean, that's just guaranteed.
You run the risk of, let's say you decided to remove it, then everybody and their uncle wants them removed. We've had other people out before.
Yeah, if you move one that's a healthy tree, then we had one a few years ago, that somebody wanted to remove it, just remember some trees because they had a lot of leaves in the fall and everything, and we,
I cut trees for a living part-time as part of my landscape business. We cut a lot of dangerous trees over the top of homes. I have a hard time cutting a tree that's healthy down. I just think we need all the trees we can get. I hate to say it. I don't care if there's a mess. Everything's a mess. Shrubs can be a mess, Dr. leaves and stuff.
So the homeowner could take the tree down on their own, and then they would be responsible for replacing it, right?
That would certainly be within
So if,
your decision as a committee, yes.
but so I think what the homeowner is requesting that the village remove it, if we deny it based on, the 4Ds, could the homeowner take it down, not going through the village? If it's on their property, would they, like if it is causing issues with their basement and the sump pump, is that two separate things that they could do?
If that is the decision as a committee that you would like to do, yes, that's certainly within, your scope. Yeah,
Sure.
Absolutely. And we've done that in the past for some where, the resident would actually pay for the removal of the tree. And I kind of indicated that if that's the direction you want to go, in the past, the precedent has done where they would remove the tree, the village would do the stump grinding and restoration.
Okay. I just wasn't sure, so that's helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Then would she have to put up a new tree?
I don't think it'd have to be recommended that she does, because if you took one healthy tree out, you should put one back in. That's my thought. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me or disagrees.
Well, maybe this is different, but on bullet 5, it says if a tree is removed without prior authorization, one of the following will be used to compensate the village. So they replace it. The forester will purchase a plant, replace it. So I don't know, I guess if I were the homeowner and it really were causing issues, even if it were a healthy tree, I wouldn't expect the village to cover it. I would, consider as a homeowner taking it down and replacing it. But yeah, I'm not in favor of the village taking it down and covering the costs based on precedent and based on the 4Ds.
So was her pipe checked for breakage or coming apart?
I do not. No, not to my knowledge.
Did the owner check
I
that?
guess she was probably somebody should talk to her about it, but I don't really know if that, in this case, if the village should be bothered by that. If it is causing a problem, like we say, and it's a healthy tree, it's still, she should take it down and replace it and pay the expense of it.
How does she know it's a sump pump issue?
Yeah, that's, I guess, I
Yeah.
should have asked.
Yeah. That's
You
fine.
know, like Tim said, they have those ways of doing it with that television. They slide down in the pipe and they can tell you where it's broke off and then you dig it up and you fix it. They
There's
have
like
a,
a tracer,
yes.
and they can literally just put a circle on it.
But did she do any of that?
I do not know that.
Okay, I'm kind of disappointed that she isn't here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions I have
Yeah.
for her yet.
I know years ago on Casner Drive, we had it going out the back, and then they said, well, you have to connect with your neighbor, make a P and go to the street,
Mhm.
and it was done.
Mhm.
So is that, and that house is built in 67, my house.
Mhm.
I went by your house too yesterday. It seems that like it would be a newer home than mine.
How old do you believe this tree is, Tim?
I would say 50 to 60 years old, I'm guessing.
What's wrong with the other tree closer to the driveway?
That is something we probably should not discuss.
Tim said he couldn't discuss
I
it.
can shed a little light on that. Hi, everyone. I'm Patrick Legal, I'm the village attorney. There was a claim that was filed based on that. There was a claim filed against the village based on that tree alleging property damage. So because the claim is being reviewed with our insurance right now and possible litigation could result in it, I would just advise not really discussing anything on that matter, but the tree near the driveway. But the other tree further down, I guess the request, how I see it right now, in the requesting property owners, please consider the removal. So Joe, you're absolutely correct in the sense that item 5 on the tree policy, the board could do one of two things. It could deny altogether, or one of three things. Deny altogether, you could grant the authorization for the property owner to remove it with compensation back to the village, replanting, paying for it, or the village could take the tree down. Kind of consider it.
Is it affecting the driveway?
No, it's
I
not the
can't,
one,
I can't.
not the one
make
she's
comment on that.
requesting.
Yes, right, so the one that's being requested is the one that's further away from the driveway. That one can be discussed to the east.
Oh, I know it's close to the
Well,
driveway.
the other one was something too.
It's not, most of these trees, even the one in my yard, well, they're smaller trees, but still, you know, the roots are coming up and you can see it's not far from the driveway. I'm sure in a couple of years it will be, not a couple, a few.
Well, if this vegetation or whatever against the village on that, if they say the trees come down, then both trees would be gone, there'd be no trees there. So that isn't good either, you know, so.
Well, I believe we have, as a board, we should vote on it, correct?
Yeah, we don't have
To be, if we're gonna deny or accept, to do it. So I would, I'll make a motion that we deny it and let her take it down at her expense if she wishes in replacing it. That's what I believe. No expense to the village.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I
don't really go into that, I've just been not take it, not, like, you know, just not right now, not take it down at all. I mean, I was,
Well, that's what we're talking about.
no,
not
you're
taking-
talking, the village, you're not, her taking it down though. I'd say just, it's a village tree, it's a street tree, so the village, it's really a village tree.
But I
So,
think-
I'm sorry to interrupt. So just, I guess, to be clear, so the motion right now, as I heard, is motion to deny the request for the village to take it down, but authorize the homeowner to take it down at her expense.
And replace
The
the
motion right now, yeah, no, but at the past, Pat, I'm just voting no, but, the rest of you can vote the way you want.
So a motion could be amended to deny altogether, to leave the trees as they are, or just authorize her to take it down and compensate the village by replacing it. That makes sense. The
Yeah.
motion currently right now is to deny village removal, but authorize the property owner to remove it. That's the motion right now.
And replenish the tree.
That would be directed by the board, so yes, and that would be the only way that the property owner could do that.
Yes.
And that would be working probably with Tim to figure out the,
And that was the motion, right?
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
and I seconded it,
Second.
and the majority said yes.
Oh, that was.
Yeah,
Right?
can I just verify then, there, Mary, that was a yay? We didn't really
Yeah, all
go
in
through
favor.
that. Yes, thank you.
I,
And all opposed?
All opposed?
Yep.
Motion passes. Take care of that. Items for our next agenda.
I have nothing at this time.
Kelly, nothing?
Nope.
Well, that being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
motion passed. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?